因为 Snake 基本上都是以 Southern 为核心在玩游戏嘛，然后很多野核体系都是以他为主。然后我觉得我跟小虎的配合的话，就基本上中野就可以把他们打炸了吧。所以我觉得我们算是这方面很有自信的。
Karsa saying, hey, if we play around the mid jungle, I think we can win. Well, we just saw what happens when you play around the mid jungle. You snowball and unlock Xiaohu, Xiaohu snowballs and unlocks all of your other lanes.
They got the W.
The big W, yeah, the big win. So is that just it? Or are we just going to see Karsa and Xiaohu win the 2v2 by denying SOFM?
It's possible. I think that's something that Snake will be looking for more aggressively. From RNG side, I mean, they're on blue side. They're a team that right now are going to be looking to favor bottom lane a lot more often. Last game, they got a Xayah Rakan duo, so that was nice to see them get that very safe duo for Uzi. They can look for fights as the game goes on. Didn't necessarily matter what happened mid lane. In fact, going creative and going for the Zac. So it wasn't the usual half push potential, so you can support your jungler or your jungler being a ranged carry. It was actually just straight up, I'm going to try and skirmish or just try and fight him with the Zac elastic slingshot. Don't know if that's going to happen in game 3, but got the job done in game 2.
It'll certainly be on a bit of a surprise for the LPL Summer Split if we get a Zac ban coming out, because again, that was already after the Trundle, Nocturne, Camille, Talia, Kindred.
And it was flatly as a response to the Sejuani pick. I think if you are SOFM in this instance, if you go Sejuani, you might then ban the Zac, because you know that you're going up against Karsa, a Zac specialist in this occasion. MLXG ain't going to be playing that pick.
Yeah.
You know that that's a pick that you'll have to deal with, and it's incredibly frustrating to deal with if you can't nail them down. They tried too early and they failed. So going into game 3, do you want to have that same risk? Don't think so.
Yeah, no swaps, swips, flops, or glops. It's all the same 5 players from both sides trying to return onto this matchup as Uzi, again, the king, makes his grand return coming into this game 3 as Vincent Wong leading the cast from the Beijing arena. Of course, we're still bringing things, holding it down from the fort here in Shanghai. As RNG challenged Snake in picks and bans for this game 3. Jace, Kindred again, and that Gnar, as we have the same 3, Aatrox, Talia, and Camille, banned away by Snake on the far side. Now, if we're following the same pattern, it was the Rakan first pick in that game 2, and we're seeing it again in game 3.
There we go. Now it's on going to be Snake to change it up a little bit. That being said, one thing I did note is that old coach of Snake coming back into stage coach position, no coach Chris available. It's interesting to note of that with the recent slew of defeats that Snake are now going back to their old strategy of stage coach. Chris should still be in the roster, but we'll have to stay tuned on that one. The Trundle still being a pick here this time around. You wonder if RNG are going to have their hands at the Kindred as a response.
Well, seeing that it is banned away by RNG, that would be quite impressive if they managed to take that Kindred. I'd be real surprised if they get that champion.
It was the shadowy figured. I just assumed not.
Look at what Snake do end up getting. As you already said, the Trundle, really, really great gank assist and gank setup. But if they get the Morgana Alistar, looks like Snake are already saying, hey, we want to play towards that bottom lane. We want to unlock Light and Maestro.
And that's real interesting to see that the Alistar gets picked up instead of the Morgana, the Tahm Kench, the Braum. They just realized that with the Trundle, if you go for any of those, you have so much disengaged force that you have to worry about how do you even start fights. So the Alistar is that response. Now they're going to have to go towards an AD carry pick. Varus is still available, so they have the range there to back up the melee champion.
Interesting to see Uzi go back to the Ezreal after game 1. He played it with the Iceborne Gauntlet. By late game, he was doing massive damage, but it was a passive early and mid game. Well, I suppose a passive mid game from RNG that ended up giving such an opening for Snake as to take the advantage they needed to close out that game. So what's going to be different about this game 3 Ezreal to that game 1? As we'll see what the rest of the composition is going to be to round that out. Gragas is the look at and lock.
It's a safer pick. The Ezreal in this sense that now allows the Rakan to move towards the mid lane, which is now being held for second phase. So just means that Xiaohu is now more empowered based off of just waiting, seeing what the pick is from Snake. Snake will ordinarily showcase what Gogo is picking up early. He doesn't go towards counter picks, doesn't have a counter pick to really, I'd say, maybe a favor. I think once he picked the LeBlanc. So early pickup of a Zoe means that it's going to be Xiaohu's time to style. That being said, Snake has seen a few games from RNG. they're not going to allow the LeBlanc to go through. There has to be a fan in the second phase.
See what Xiaohu ends up getting to take, as Snake still have another pick for both Light and Flandre. They've been saving counter pick for Flandre largely in this set. I don't know what that accent was, but there's the LeBlanc ban you were just talking about.
This is when you can get a little bit more open, creative. Maybe ban out the Talon as a response. Xiaohu has a strong Talon as well. Because at this point, there's always a great point to play around, but she has some really demonous matchups that she's going to have problems with. So as long as you can just eliminate that and make it so Guoguo can handle himself well with the Zoe pick get later on in the game, things go well.
Never heard demoness used as an adjective, but I love it. Yasuo is the counter ban away from Xiaohu. Still, we're going to see what Xiaohu gets the chance to take. Plenty of champions. Of course, that Rise is something that I took earlier on in this set. Blind in game 1. Rune Prison is great after the portal jump, if you manage to catch that Zoe in midair. But now RNG, they're still looking towards that top lane to try to limit Flandre's pool just a bit, as Gangplank is the next ban. Now here, we're looking for Light and Flandre.
And the Gragas can be a top lane Gragas as well. So remember that Karsa isn't immediately locked to the champion. We've seen a lot of top lane Gragas specifically starting out with Keen Rift Rivals. So something you have to keep your mind on. That being said, that's a lock-in for the Tristana.
Yes, yes it is. Resets, long range, excellent siege. If Snake managed to find a pick with Guoguo or Flandre, or sorry, SOFM on that Zoe and Trundle, very easy follow-up for the Tristana to chase and get the reset, and then chase it down to a turret later on. And
for the new LPL viewers out there, 3 picks, 3 wins. TOP has gone on towards it so often. So Tristana has been seen a few times this split, but now immediately getting picked, or at least it did get picked up as the Talon. I expected the Talon pick to go banned here with the LeBlanc. It didn't happen. So we get to see Xiaohu start to flex in the early portions of the game.
Now we're looking at what's next. If that Gragas goes to Zatai or Karsa, as Ming with 5 seconds on the clock decides to send it into the jungle. Cho'Gath is the blind pickup for Zatai in that top lane. Flandre will once again counter pick against his former ally.
That's a quick cover.
Ooh, the Quinn.
That's a very quick cover.
Boy.
We've seen a lot of them. Jinu's been a Quinn player.
If I remember correctly, LGD actually won that game with the flanking Quinn. Such massive mobility. Teemo, as there's a nod to the LCK. But Shen is actually the lock-in for Snake.
There we go. This is tried and true for Snake. They find themselves in a position where Flandre has to be a tank, but his natural inclination is to split. Put him on the Shen pick so he can be useful in these team fights. So there we go. Tristana's got it all. This is a game where now Light is in a game 3 setting up against Uzi, and he's the one who has to carry his team alongside Guoguo. A great test to Light to see if he can pick this one up in Beijing.
This is the test. This is the pressure. Crystal has gone up against Uzi countless times, and every single time he has fallen low. Light has been hovering behind Crystal on the bench for a very long time for Snake. This is the time for him to prove himself in this final matchup, as already the first 2 games have gone Uzi's way, and all Light has been able to do is go even in CS, though eventually he has lost his turrets due to the roaming pressure from RNG. Now they've got even more with the Talon and the Gragas. Can Light keep his cool down in that bottom lane against the Ezreal Rakan of Uzi and Ming?
You'd hope that he would. At this point
really
in time, honestly, this composition from Snake scales fairly well, has a good damage mix. Real issue for RNG is that having the Talon mid lane and Ezreal bottom lane is the fact that you're now looking towards the Gragas to provide more AP, has to have early runic echoes, and the top lane Cho'Gath to be decent as well in that area. But for the rest of them, easy to itemize against. So if the game goes too long, then the issue with the Talon is that he becomes a non-factor in team fights. He has to be a lot more creative. Xiaohu is a player who is creative. Don't have any questions towards it, so we get to see what he can do in this game 3.
Will Light be able to survive? There is a Shen, there is an Alistar and a Trundle, all of these things in order to keep that Tristana alive and firing away at the front line of RNG, while Ezreal tries to do the same. Uzi on the far side, Light All of that pressure is on his shoulders as he prepares to load onto this Rift for Game 3. Snake have never taken a victory against the host team of Royal Never Give Up. Now they find themselves at the end of yet another best of 3. And that chance is in their hands if only they can grasp it. The King is back. Will he bleed or will he prove why he deserves to be wearing the crown as we load onto the Rift for Game 3 between Royal Never Give Up and Snake. That's a flash from Light.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's an ouch. That's an ouchies. That's an ouch.
One thing I want to talk about is that Snake, one of the picks that definitely weren't vibing with them in playoffs time in spring, in that series versus RNG, was Trundle.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how to play Trundle properly. SOFM, a lot of times he would gank too heavily on it, would try and force it through, and it would be very awkward, honestly. And so they moved on towards the Sejuani, and they were finding more success in that venture. Because then SOFM could play his style naturally. Now he's back on the Trundle. This time around, I'd say a little better off as long as he's willing to hand the power to Guoguo and Light. You place down Pillar, Guoguo gets easy paddle stars off that, and also gives space to Light. Just be able to play it out. That being said, immediately a gank.
Yeah, that's the trust fall. There's the Pillar. Still Xiaohu only level 1 with Rake. Ooh, sidestepping the Sleepy Trouble Bubble as level 2 is picked up by Guoguo. But Xiaohu just heals himself up with that refillable, holds his ground.
That's really damaging here. Guoguo didn't even have to use his Electrocute Ignite, because while the Electrocute went off, big point about it is that Zoe can just walk up to you when she has her W enabled. Be able to just get more sparkles, Ignite, Electrocute, has a massive chunk. Potion's already being used by Xiaohu.
Oh, uh-oh, that's the flash used by Ming to get away from this as Ignite was used in that trade. SOFM is still on this side of the map. He's sneaking in from behind them. Ming, he's on the wrong side of the Pillar. Flash auto, the slow, the red buff, the auto attack. First blood for Light. He gets the reset as Uzi takes level 2 and tries to back out. Maestro. Oh, that was a close Mystic shot.
Real close, but at the end, great gank from Trundle, being able to place down the Pillar. Ming, no summoners, has to walk all the way back into lane when the wave's crashing through. Hard step to take here for RNG's bottom lane.
And you just talked about the trust fall that SOFM needs to make on this Trundle. He needs to look to Light and Guoguo to carry through this game as Trundle's damage really falls off in the late game, but already affecting 2 ganks 3 minutes in as we take a look at that play one more time.
Most important thing is that Ming flashed, so he didn't get slowed by, of course, the Tristana jump. But then they walked back in, no vision on SOFM when he was pathing bottom lane, so there's no way Ming comes out of this one alive. The kill does go to Light, so really well done here is going to be able to come back into the lane. Something more hefty, a pickaxe.
Yeah, you can hear how badly the crowd wanted that kill. The hometown crowd, the RNG fans, as Teleport gets Light back into lane, like you said, with that pickaxe, and now the refillable. So not only does he have the Doran's shield, fleet footwork, and a refillable, plus overheal and Legend's Bloodline, he does not want to die ever.
Yep,
with all of that lifesteal.
Extra movement speed burst when he has, of course, the auto attack and he gets some crit on him. Uh-oh, that's a redemption.
It's redemption, yeah, that's a thing. Alrighty. Xiaohu has to walk away from the minion wave. And like you said, still no Ignite usages. That's why he's taking all of that sustain.
You know, fun story is, Tristana's as of late, we're seeing a lot more creativity with the picks here. Creativity just because one thing that people are running is Halo Blades Tristana. So when she jumps in, she gets the full rotation off her satchel charge, her E, and then gets the auto attacks off so she can get the resets.
Yeah.
So that's really fun for the laning phase. Him going this route for a reason, so he gets the sustain. Once he gets the crit, of course, later on in the game, it's a massive payoff. But yeah, you can tell that he definitely needs that sustain versus Uzi.
So far, he does have that first blood and is catching minions as Flandre makes his way back top with a Raptor Cloak.
This is the Flandre build we were talking about going into this split. Uh-oh.
Flash headbutt onto Uzi. He's under the turret. Takes a turret shot. He's got no flash, but Light slams him down. We'll get back to Flandre in a second, Raz, because it's a double kill for Light. We talked about the pressure that he would have to carry this game. Well, Maestro sets it up, and Light spikes it down.
3 kills, 5 minutes in. He's going to be able to push this wave, and he's already looking for a Storm Razors. How'd this go so wrong? Uzi walks up. Amazing flash pulverized. It was a pulverized flash, so they couldn't see the animation to get the kill on towards Uzi. And one thing about Tristana is the snowball of it. 1 kill is you need to be able to just jump in for the next. So, of course, Ming still doesn't have flash. Easy pickings. At least Uzi can say coming back into the lane that he has flash, so when the next play goes awry, he won't die off of it.
Not panicked blowing that flash in the lane, so he did still keep his cool in that way, but perhaps not respecting Alistar so much. But here's Flandre with that Raptor Cloak. What are we looking at here, Raz?
So we talked about this build last split when it started coming up, that Flandre, when he finds himself melee matchups, because Shen does have good matchups in melee situations, he has himself the minion dematerializer picking up cannon waves so he can push in easily. The Kleptomancy, which is the most important part of this, so he can actually take the trades as he's doing right now. A lot of gold income coming through. Of course, the sustain off the 2 potions, he's able to pick up off that. So there's so much that he gets off in the proper laning phase. And if you're wondering what build he ordinarily goes towards, Trinity Force.
Yeah.
And then wondering where he goes to be able to take the matchup, because Raptor's Cloak doesn't build into Trinity Force. He actually goes Zerat's Portal sometimes. So remember another crucial, this was during the time when you can actually go towards, what was that? It's not the
Banner of Command.
Yes, it was the Banner of Command that he would ordinarily
so
pick
quickly
up.
we forget how that item existed.
It doesn't exist. Out of my memory. Gone.
Remove
into the
it
ether.
from the memory banks, yeah.
And so this means that he's just naturally going to go towards the Zerat Portal more often. So this is what you're going to expect if you're going up against Flandre in the side lane, is that he's still going to be playing split push, carry oriented. But he's going to provide the ultimate shielding for his AD carry.
That's the arcane shift. That's what Uzi needed to do, but now it's on cooldown. Light goes in. He's level 6 as he just tries to get the trade. Again, it's BF Sword Pickaxe against a tier.
Oh my god, that's a tier and a mana crystal.
That's not a happy day. And you're right, sorry. And a mana crystal. That's going to give him so many combat stats against this Tristana. Light is just trying to run roughshod in this lane. He's keeping even in CS with Uzi right now, but that's a lot of gold on that Tristana's belt.
Even though we're seeing topside, this is not what's important. Flandre is going to be able to nullify this easily. This is the most important part of the map. Woco and SOFM recognize that 3-kill Tristana might be the lane you want to help out. So it's going to be Ezreal that needs to back up off that wave.
Flandre with an early flash to get away from Karsa and Zatai. Doesn't want to risk the damage. Again, that consume, so very strong. Feast.
This is what happens when the plans change. When things go a little bit too good in the side of the lane that you're probably saying we won't help too much. Because in this situation, SOFM would help Flandre.
Oh, they're actually teleporting in for the dive onto Flandre. Ooh, he walks back in just to get dove. Xiaohu finds the first kill for RNG. That does mean the bottom tier 1 is undefended by Uzi and Ming, as Light will take solo gold for that first brick.
There we go, and all it really took was Zoe leaning towards the lane. Top lane is not even close to being touched, and Cho'Gath won't even have an option. So right now it's on Snake and where they want to send their dual lane. They can send him back bottom lane, get back in that long lane and try and match. They can send him top lane and try and take another outer turret.
Well, we did just see Flandre use his teleport to go top right now, as this Ocean Dragon is being taken by Snake. So at the very least, that is a summoner spell invested by Flandre to try to keep that laning phase, but that means that Uzi is delayed just a bit longer.
We know Flandre, he's a greedy man. You might think that he goes top lane just to be able to secure the lane matchup. No, he's going in for the wave. So
just for the minions.
So he just doesn't have to teleport now.
Yeah.
So RNG recognized this, they're going to go top lane. At least this time, Flandre doesn't mess up the wave, so he can go bottom lane, match up with Cho'Gath, and at least Light and Maestro will be happy about that.
Yeah, and he's still got that stand united, so if a fight were to break out, he can join in relatively easily, as long as he's outside of the CC range of Zatai. But Light and Maestro are up here. You can see the recall being completed by Zatai, as Uzi will start his own recall in the bottom lane. Storm Razors is finished. He is 1,300 gold ahead of Uzi. He is real big.
Actually, the strongest item spike you can get in the game. He has it. 9 minutes in. I do not know how Uzi is going to be able to handle this. Usually he brings in more members to try and get in the kill. It is a natural inclination for Light and Maestro to be a lot more aggressive. So what Snake should do, support that. They did that well in the bottom lane. SOFM has to be able to mirror this lane often because at the very least the Rakan still has engage points when he gets 6. So those are options RNG has, but they shouldn't.
Uzi makes his way into lane. Looks like it's a Glacial Iceborne Gauntlet build once again. So trying to get some armor to sustain against this Tristana damage that's going to be flying towards him. As SOFM is on this side of the map along with Guo. Could be looking to invade and deny Karsa here, as they're just looking for openings. Anything that Snake can find. They're 2,500 gold ahead, and half of that gold advantage is sitting happily in that 80 carries gold items. And still Snake trying to accelerate this game just a bit more. That does mean Zatai gets to trade against Flandre some.
And this is what I would say the worrying part about this is that I would say Flandre should be fine. He wants this matchup anyways. He has a Tiamat. He usually goes for Titanic early on. So that's his first go-to item before he moves towards the Trinity Force. He wanted this all along. He gets what he wants. I'm only worried about Xiaohu, because Xiaohu has been pushing up frequently because Guoguo has been leaning to the strong side of the map. So now Xiaohu, if he continues to do this, will be able to get flank position, will be able to get more minions. Right now he's behind, but if this continues on, I don't like it.
Karsa using the early flash because Guoguo just simply shorts the Paddle Star. But mentioning Xiaohu, Raz, he's 30 CS down. He is 5 minion waves behind Guoguo just through the passive laning phase.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he gets any more as the game goes on, but you're right, it's looking rough for him. He still has, I wonder what his first item is going to be, either Yomu's Ghost Blade or the Dust Blade. I'd say Dust Blade would probably be the best. He needs the raw damage at this point in the game.
RNG setting up a trap, looking for a bait. Sleepy Trouble Bubble hits. Xiaohu with the early cleanse hops over the wall. Pillar doesn't hit him, though the Paddle Star decides not to follow up. As it looks like Karsa believes he was spotted up top. That does mean we got more push pressure onto this as Guoguo is landing these Paddle Stars time and again.
This next wave will be taking down this turret, unless if RNG move more members here. You can already see faster clear coming in from Guoguo.
As is to be expected from that Zoe, Karsa steps up. He doesn't have the explosive cast.
They bring in Shen, so a lot of members are coming in.
Maestro's looking there as Ming is trying to step forward. Like you said, it's a big investment from Snake to try and break it down, but they decide not to follow the minion wave in and not risk it. As RNG hold the wave for just a little bit longer, but it's still just a short breeze from going down.
It's just a weird call from Snake because they recognize that although Tristana and Alistar have a lot of gold on them, resources are there, but they're going for mid lane because Guoguo is doing well enough to chip down the tower, so they're trying to get as much as possible instead of just focusing all of their fire and attention on to Uzi's lane.
We're seeing Snake distribute the wealth, distribute the ganks, and snowball both of those powerful lanes. We're even starting to see a bit of an advantage open up for Zatai in that, Flandre, as he's now 5 CS ahead. He's nearly got his teleport back up, so he did get to greed for the wave, and it did not end up costing him in any way, as still no item completion yet from Xiaohu. 13.5 minutes in, he's largely been locked down to this mid lane. Here comes 4 members, tries to clear it out with an early rake. Minion wave will go down, but again, Snake just need to rotate and do that again, and they can take the turret.
Yeah, and that will be no way for them to clear that wave unless they're going to be using Ezreal ult. So it's going to take some time for the wave to come. It's already now right smack down in the middle of the mid lane. And Snake should just commit to it. Tristana and Alistar have just been placing down so much pressure top lane that Uzi and Ming have no way to be able to rotate here.
There we go, that's the Paddle Star. Karsa is ready with the explosive cast, but eats a Sleepy Trouble Bubble. The minion wave goes in. Rake is doing some serious work to keep that turret standing, but Guoguo is constantly hammering down onto this. RNG, slowly but surely, they're losing ground, just like in game 1. But this time, it's off the back of a Snowball, Tristana, and Zoe. That's looking a little bit dire for this team. That's the Rupture. Ignite is used. Barrel Scream, but no cast from Karsa to knock that Zoe back in. That is the funniest thing I think I have ever seen. Talon vaulting over the Trundle Pillar while slowed.
It's good stuff.
Because again, when you vault, you move at your movement speed.
Yep.
I believe it's actually slightly ahead of your movement speed, but if you're slowed, you still move at the slowed movement speed. So it's the slow flip.
Makes things incredibly tense. You think you're going to get out of a tight situation. You're like, I'm slowed.
There's the minion wave again. Noxious Diplomacy is used as the trouble bubble hits, but Xiaohu, he's got to complete the recall. Still, RNG are holding on to the turret. This is real slow. All right, first dragon is a mountain snake. Second dragon is a mountain snake. Already did take that first ocean, snowballing off of the bottom tier 1. So Tai and Karsa are going to try to step up and contest this as it respawns. Uzi and Ming are holding down the fort in the mid lane, not even going to try going top to match the pressure of Light and Maestro. So it seems as though RNG are going to try and force the defense of this play with Uzi instead.
Worst case scenario has already happened for Snake. This play has taken so damn long. Instead of actually just going for top lane when Uzi had nothing, he now has an Iceborne Gauntlet, which is a lot of defensive, well, just straight up armor to now mitigate the damage that Light was putting in. They had such a great advantage on Light here, and they squandered it because what should have been cleared up mid lane tower turns into committing on it for 8 minutes.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
I'm upset.
RNG are actually going to turn on to the dragon as Snake effect a recall. RNG finds them in that back timing and break it down. Even Zatai getting the feast stack. I don't believe he's at 6 stacks yet, so that's not going to give him the bonus. Finally, the tier 1 is taken in between minion waves. But that just took so long. Now, Rift Herald has spawned. You can see Light, Maestro, and Guoguo making their way over there. SOFM is on this side of the map, but this is a slow roll from Snake. That gives time for RNG to get back in.
Look, I think this will... No, the bank will start rolling now. So, at the very least, now that they got mid lane tower, this top lane tower should be a lot more easier to take because the focus will be coming through. So, while it should have been faster earlier just to work with Light a little bit more, even bring Light to the play back mid, didn't happen. But now, this is mid lane tower into top lane tower. It was slow, but now it's speeding up.
Yeah, there we go. Finally, Snake find the opening to get back onto the map. The top tier 1 is taken. All 3 outers are down. That poor Talon has been slowed down so much. Still, I'm not quite sure he has that Tiamat as Snake turn over and take the Rift Herald off the back of this too. This snowball is looking real dangerous. And of all the places that it started in, it was the bottom lane. It was off of Uzi and Ming as SOFM was able to rotate quickly and effectively, getting 2 ganks off and following up off of an overextension from Ming.
You don't get to see SOFM pay any love to the bottom lane as often, but it actually happened against RNG and it paid off dividends. It's nice to see him doing that in that situation, and a lot of confidence is on the young man of Light to really bring it home. Now has his 2 items for himself.
Really?
Storm Razors completed full damage out of the crit because he's got his first Zeal item completed as well. So he has the range, and they should bring him in to start sieging more of the mid lane tower now that it's gone to the inner. So I want to see how RNG deal with it. It's rough, dog.
It absolutely is. Of course, that draw a bead providing even more range to the Tristana, even though it has been nerfed a little bit since the rework. That was how long ago? 2 years?
There was a rework?
For Tristana, classic Tristana, when she got the visual game update. The draw a bead got nerfed.
I don't remember.
And the explosive charge. Anyways, Xiaohu, what are you doing there, bud? That's not a great place for a Talon to be all by himself.
So a lot of confidence just because, hop over all walls.
But that means that top is undefended. Snake are immediately following up under the tier 2.
Yeah, their wave is coming in. It's a cannon wave too.
Oh, boy.
They don't have the people here to defend it.
And there's the Herald. Light clears out the wave. That's going to be a big charge. This tier 2 does not stand a chance. Uzi's on the way to try and defend the inhibitor, but Snake are still moving forward.
And they're bringing in the mid lane wave at a great time too. So while they have to deal, RNG that is, with this Rift Herald, they have to deal with the mid lane tower that should be easily picked up here.
That's the cast onto Flandre. Maestro goes in, Karsa gets pulled back, and he actually gets dove and died. Light follows up with the reset bounce. Sleepy Trouble Bubble misses Ming, but Uzi goes forward to clear out the rest of the wave. GLP looking for some AoE onto RNG. But still, RNG are able to hold the turret, though it does get chipped away. And Xiaohu, what? He just... Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Ooh!
So this was actually great from SOFM. That's what I want to take away from that, because the Talon will make those plays. He'll walk up, because ultimately he knows he has a wall behind him to jump out, and you're never going to chase down the Talon. that was the confidence that Shahu had at that moment. The Trundle pillar to absolutely deny that and exhaust his E so he couldn't hop over that wall again was what really got him the kill. So SOFM, incredible play to make it happen.
So the real tragedy, just to be clear, was Shahu tried to go over too thick a portion of the wall and wasn't going to make it anyways, regardless of the pillar. So SFM still kudos for being on top of it with the pillar, but Shahu tried to line it up. That's why he was going sideways before the pillar hit him. You really hate to see that happen for RNG, because now that talent, he's been effectively denied. 1-1-0, the only kill of his team. He's 25 CS behind. Karsa's trying to step up to deny this vision for Maestro, and will actually manage to get the burst and assassination. As Uzi fires the True Shot Barrage, he does get an assist on the board, but this is just finding Snake getting a little bit too greedy.
You have to wait for the top lane wave. They didn't do that. Tristana was just about to clear it off there too, so just means that the vision that they would have had in that area a little bit more solidified just isn't there just yet. So it's gonna take a little bit longer. Ooh, nice.
Uh-oh. Grand entrance. Ooh, gets him just out of range of that Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Guoguo is starting to hurt with the completed Ludens and Sork boots. That Oblivion Orb doing the same thing for even more AP. Now Uzi, he's starting to scale up. He's finished off the Muramana. He's got the Iceborne Gauntlet, and it's another tier after that. The double investment for RNG. Will they have the time to let this Ezreal scale up against a snowballing Tristana, against the pressure of a Zoe, Shen, Trundle?
Well, when he should have it is about 35 minutes, and I don't think the game will go on that long. Depends on how RNG can save this game. They don't have to wave clear for themselves, so at this point, if Snake just doubled down on the Baron play, then they can make it work. Flandre is doing a good enough job, so they don't have to play to him. In this instance, actually, they're putting Shen topside because they've actually have in their focus the dragon later on, but this bot lane inner tower.
Already you can see the attempted defense. Xiaohu in the brush, tries to rake out that minion wave. Still no Tiamat, as I believe that is Edge of Night along with the Dusk Blade. So going for the full lethality. As Sleepy Trouble Bubbles continue to fire down onto this mid lane. The constant artillery that Guoguo is starting to put forward. And Snake, they've got the advantage. They're 4,500 gold ahead. Karsa is looking for a bait onto Guoguo along with Xiaohu. But instead, as you said, it is the dragon focus from Snake. They could very well be on the verge of their first match victory against RNG. That's Stand United from Flandre to group up with his team and a Shadow Dash back to safety. As the dragon is going to be completed by Snake.
Fully committing to this. I think they didn't have enough vision of where RNG was, so they knew for certain that Flandre was safe. So perhaps they thought it was going to be necessary for bottom lane. That was just a weird as hell ultimate. Don't even, like,
I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Like, that was just
we both just saw that.
Very awkward. So
yeah.
If I was to, I know we have a lot of replays.
Ah, there it is. That's the payoff. Oh, never mind. I thought he was just going to take it.
That would be the worst payoff ever if you were to steal it from your own mid lane.
For blue buff to steal it from your mid lane.
But he's now bottom lane.
Yeah.
So at the very least for the enemy team, they know that the only way Shen joins the play now is through teleport, not through his ultimate, unless if it goes for far too long. But I mean, he has Titanic, he has a little bit of items towards his Trinity Force, so he wants to be side lane.
Flash engage onto Guoguo. He's got his own flash. Will pick up the one used earlier. Makes it under the turret. Portal jump pulls him back in. Rape goes low. And that's going to be the Zoe going down as the Rake misses throughout that stopwatch. And RNG find themselves the kill.
And this just comes as a lesson to everybody. Why do you, like, wait on your wave, because top lane's still getting pushed. So entirety of Snake were not ready for that play, and you have to be ready for it, especially up against the Rakan comp. So Rakan just makes it easier to go, push the button. No flash on Ming now, so you can't make that happen again.
A flash engage. There's, like you said in the previous game, there's so little time to react and respond, even though Guoguo did have his flash, unable to escape. But that does give a bit more flexibility to RNG and gets them closer. Still 4,500 gold behind. This is real dire for RNG. They're just looking for picks. They're looking for scraps. Anything they can do to slow Snake down, but the snowball has already been started, and it is getting bigger and bigger. Infinity Edge almost finished off for Light. Morello's completed for Guoguo. Out of that Oblivion Orb. How weird is it that the Oblivion Orb builds into the Morellos? and the Lost Chapter builds into the Spellbinders.
You'd wonder how
The orb builds into the book, and the book builds into the orb.
Yep. Maybe you just scrap up the book.
Yeah.
Turns it into an orb.
I don't know.
Unravel the orb.
That could be it, Unraveling the Mysteries, and that's the book that you write after you unravel the mysteries of that Oblivion orb, the Morellonomicon. As Maestro trying to deny some vision here. Xiaohu is free to push this wave up, though Light is stepping forward. And that's the Infinity Edge done. But Baron's on the map. If RNG make another large mistake like the one that gave Snake their early advantage, that snowball could very easily turn onto the Baron and finish things off.
And so all eyes are on towards the Baron. We already made a point about that. Cannon wave being pushed in through. If I'm Snake, you just start the Baron right now. There's a lot of good control in the area. Of course, Tristan is not in position as of yet, but this is when you do look towards your adjacent lane, so you give yourself some time to blow through it. It's going to take some time, but as long as they have the ability to start the fight, should go for it.
So something that should be noted in the mid lane, Xiaohu's only 500 gold behind Guoguo. In the bottom lane, though, Uzi is 2,500 gold behind Light. So still, that standard gold distribution as Righteous Glory will find Flandre. Zatai is chasing him up. Rupture as Flandre uses that sidestep. Shadow Dash to get him over the wall. And still the constant defense. Now the Archangels has been finished for Uzi. He's trying to turn it into the Staff of the Seraphim. Sorry, the Archangels, Seraph's Embrace. In order to give himself a shield, some bigger damage as Zatai tries to walk in. He's found Guogo. Remember, he's got no flash. Portal jump and he goes down. Zatai gets Shadow Dash as Flandre comes in. The fight turns into an all-out brawl. Uzi joined. He's looking for Maestro. Xiaohu will chase down the assassination. Flandre on the side, chased down by Uzi. As Snake are the one falling apart. The rake catches onto Flandre and the bleed is applied. Shut down. Light is still alive, though he does not find any resets to go back in.
You just saw it. Zatai made Xiaohu's job that much easier to walk up and start threatening Light. Light had to jump out of the play. Didn't have the damage. Still has 60% crit, so he's not really relying on it at this point in the game. So for RNG, for Zatai in this instance, walk up, get this ultimate on towards Guoguo, eliminate him from the fight, was crucial for them to make this game a lot longer. Take a look at this. Really good play from Zatai. Isolate the one of their 2 carries in this game, take him out immediately. And so just look at Light, immediately out of the fight. He's not going to walk up to Xiaohu. In fact, Xiaohu pressing his ultimate means that he has to disengage away from that one immediately.
Xiaohu, in the meanwhile, chases down that kill in the back line as Uzi was largely free to Mystic Shot and attack at a whim in that back line. Like we said, 3 items. He's starting to stack up and do some big damage, matching the 3 items of Light, though the gold cost is slightly lower. But now that GA has been finished off for Xiaohu, he's still got the Edge of Night, he's still got that Duskblade for massive assassination. Guogo's still sitting on only those 2 items on the far side, though, so could be slowing down just a little bit in terms of that Zoe. But 28 minutes in, the fight is close enough to even that neither team is able to look towards the Baron afterwards. But the next Dragon is up in 40 seconds. And RNG, their tenacity was what gave them so much strength in Rift Rivals. They're proving that they've got it here against Snake.
Exactly that. I mean, Snake has had control of that pit for a good majority of the game. I would say just about 20 minutes. They've had good majority of the top side of the map. But for RNG to stick by so closely to it, disable a lot of Snake's plays around the pit once it went 20 minutes onwards when the Baron was alive, really exceptional for the team. And just means that Snake, they might start to get desperate at this point in the time where Tristan is getting more damage, but Xiaohu's really starting to run away with the game.
He's starting to get real big. 4-1-1. We could start to see that damage that Talon is able to do if he manages to get that Noxian Diplomacy. Uzi has completed his Seraph's Embrace. Boots are the Ninja Tabby, and now he's got himself a Vamp Scepter for even more sustain in these fights as Karsa tries to step forward. Perhaps looking to bait Light or Maestro into the river.
Just so much Q damage from the Ezreal. Now he's just looking for the Blade of the Rune King. 4 items on Ezreal, and he will be able to match Light in terms of if he gets a proper flank off, because the real issue is that once Light gets 4 items his own, I mean, I guess that's a 4th item. He just fully bought his Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I would have liked more crit, but here we go.
The top lane. Xiaohu will be able to survive, level up. Means that his GA doesn't get popped. Teleport goes in. The true damage. but Stand United keeps Maestro alive through it all. Guoguo lands the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, looking for an opportunity to go in. He's got himself the flash. Rupture prevents Flandre as that's a lead from Light. Uzi gets subjugated by SOFM, but eats a Paddle Star and the GLP. Guoguo trying to chase, but Knight's Vow keeps Uzi nice and tanky.
Really surprised Snake didn't just turn on Baron the moment they got Xiaohu to just 10% HP. They could have just tried for it and forced Xiaohu to make the long journey back. But instead now SOFM doesn't have HP because he got soloed out. TP coming through here from RNG.
They could be trying to force this Baron play. That's from Uzi so that he can group up with his team. Bilgewater Cutlass is the item that he completed off of that recall, and he will also look to finish off this blue buff. Xiaohu back on that top side of the map in mid lane so that he can be near the Baron.
First time RNG's been able to clear out the pit there. So now they're starting to take more steps forward to controlling around Baron. Snake have to feel a little bit, I would say,
unsafe.
Unsafe. I was about to say Monka-esque. Maybe they should feel a little bit Monka-esque after that. It's been looking a little more dire for them getting up to this point in the game.
Right now, RNG are just relying on that tenacity as they're trying to look for Guoguo in the mid lane. They clear out the ward, though SOFM was prepped and ready with the counter gank. RNG step into the river to start clearing out these wards. It's a constant back and forth. Flandre, he's got teleport, but no Stand United. And the split pushing on the far side. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does not get followed up, as Guoguo will also not aggro the Baron, so Karsa's still at full health.
It's probably the most unclean Zoe game I've ever seen. I'm sorry, Guoguo, I had to put it down into you.
He was getting some good shots down earlier.
Unclean.
Throwing down the flame, the fire.
They do need him to be a lot more on point, because a lot of times when he gets a Sleepy Trouble Bubble across, the follow-up doesn't come through. Last time in this position, it's just him literally pressing his ultimate too late. So,
and this has been a long-term story for Snake, is Guoguo needing to step up. He's going to get a chance to flank in this fight, as that's a 4-man knockup from Maestro. Karsa caught by the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Xiaohu steps up. He's got the Edge of Night to tank a hit, but it's a dive into the back line. Flandre is trying to kill Uzi, but he kites it out to tie. Gets the feast. The 2-man knockup from Karsa. He goes in, goes Golden Light, looks for the reset, but Uzi kites it out by going the opposite direction. Guardian Angel as the AD carries dance around each other, but RNG find themselves 2 kills.
That was just weird from Flandre. Dives right in with a flash. Knows that no one will follow up on him, but thought he had the damage to deal with Uzi alone. Remember, Iceborne Gauntlet means that he has the armor to deal with him. I mean, he's going to be able to deal with Flandre easily. So, it was unfortunate. He dives in. It's a squishy Shen. Immediately dies. And so, front line is looking rather squishy on the side of Snake. They're really getting real sketchy around these team fights.
8-7 now is RNG. They're still down in gold, but for the first time, they're ahead in kills. And the scary thing is, RNG might be recognizing that they can win these fights as they just run down Snake and find themselves a kill.
So take a look at Shen once he joins the fight, because he goes straight on towards Uzi. Immediately taunt flash, but there's no support here for him. So sure, about 50% HP on Uzi, but he's front to back anyways. He's going to be throwing Q stacks on towards Light. And so Light tries to get an assassination onto him, but he has to burn his flash at the end. So it was one pickup onto Alistar, a Shen ulti that goes on top of him, which should have been a disengage off that, but they go all in afterwards. And
you can see the damage that Tristana does. 4K over the course of that fight, another 3,000 coming out of the Zoe, but it's a more even distribution from RNG as all of their carries are putting out some damage. And of course, Light trying to flash onto Uzi might have been looking for the Storm Razors proc. Tragedy is, Storm Razors does not reset while in combat. So perhaps maybe needing to back away a little bit longer if he wanted to look for the crit, or perhaps he was just looking for the RNG crit instead to try to burst Uzi down. But now he's level 17. He's sitting at 4 items with the Last Whisper, very nearly full 6 items. Blade of the Ruined King has been finished for Uzi. He's able to sustain and deal some big damage in these fights. But 34 minutes into the game, it's still a 4,000 gold lead for Snake. They're maneuvering around the Baron, trying to pull RNG into position. The last fight didn't go their way, but they did get a lot of summoner spells. Karsa eats a hit, and Zatai's happy to tank it for him. That's the Feral Scream, slow, and they've managed to catch Guoguo! Oh no, Ming will chase Snake back. SOFM with the pillar, caught in the rupture. Uzi with the chase, Glacial Gauntlet slows him down. Poor guy doesn't stand a chance.
And take a look at how long this game took for RNG to come back into it. They're going to be able to get a Baron off this one unless if Snake try for anything. No smite, should not be able to team fight. They haven't taken a single outer turret from Snake, so they're just waiting for that gold investment to come flowing into them.
Flandre looking for the Shadow Dash. Uzi steps forward to zone him away with that Arcane Shift. Now Xiaohu was able to zone Light back, and the Baron is picked up by RNG off of this play. 35 minutes in, RNG take control. Running
back into this game, so gotta remember, they have a lot of options here. Top lane, mid lane, bottom lane, all of them, outer turret still up and available. So, depends on where they start their parade. Can just charge straight through mid, and they have a lot of ability to just go for an engage with how large Cho'Gath is at this point in the game. So take a look at Guoguo. Go straight in when there's no way he should have. Now, any Zoe player looking at the Sleepy Trouble bubble will say, I'll go in. Recognize if there are 4 members there, because Zoe, sure, technically looking to her ultimate, there's mobility, except there's no way for her to get out. So a bad decision from Guoguo, knowing that he was going back into a Cho'Gath that would slow him.
And suddenly this game is now back in RNG's favor. They're starting to find some momentum. Last Whisper picked up for Uzi. He's at 4.5 items. The last Whisper has been finished to a Lord Dominix for Light, so he is sitting happily at 6 items. But this siege from RNG is about to get real scary.
Yeah, I think they're going to get 4 towers off this. They're already putting a 1-3-1 out here, so Talon should be uncontested top lane. They have 3 members mid. That's going to be easy as pie. Shen should get the next one, so it just means that after they get the 3 outer turrets, moving to the next one that's going to be conjoined towards mid lane should be the pick here. They're really safe mid.
Yeah, the mid-tier 1 still being defended, even to tie, not taking any chances that Flandre could be collapsed upon by any members of Snake, as Xiaohu is pushing up, will pull the attention away from mid long enough for the mid-tier 1 to be broken. Finally, the map is opening up, and look at that. For the first time in the game, the gold advantage going to RNG. Snake, they're scrambling back and forth. They leave their mid-tier 2 undefended. Uzi gets some big hits, and Zatai finishes off the bottom tier 1. That's 3 turrets already, but Snake are falling apart.
Yeah, with how poorly they've been playing this, it's going to turn into 5. They should not all just go top lane like that. That was just an overcommitment when they know that mid lane inner turret was under threat. So RNG is fully taking this one. So much gold in all of their pockets because of how many towers they got in just the last 2 minutes.
That's 5 turrets so far, and now the push onto the inhibitor turret itself. Light gets slowed, and look at that! Xiaohu breaks down the inhib. 3 turrets through his lane all by himself. Zatai is massive, tanking for Uzi and Karsa. That's the pillar, but Uzi just backs it up. Flandre did stall the wave out bottom, but still nothing is answering Xiaohu.
Yes, 4 cannon waves top lane, or at least just the cannon minions themselves. We'll have to see if Guoguo actually took one of them, because these cannons are doing a lot of work here.
Zatai, with such a massive hitbox, is forced to tank aggro as the minion wave crashes in. The inhibitor turret gets broken down. Light is forced to back up. He's at 6 item Tristana, but doesn't get an opportunity. Edge of Night onto Xiaohu prevents any big damage as the pillar will catch on. The engage, they're looking for SOFM. Maestro goes forward with the knockup, and Uzi is firing in the back. Light looking for Xiaohu, but he needs to pick a target. He's firing on the minions. Light, you've got to carry this game, not carry the minions. Finally gets damage onto Xiaohu, but his tank line is dead. The double knockup makes it onto the fountain. GA keeps him alive, and RNG chasing forward. Flandre in the front. He's trying to set a front to back. He's trying to find an opening for Light to chase this out. Finally, he will force them away, but RNG, they've broken 2 inhibitors. They've got teleport to reset this, and 13 seconds. That's going to be Zatai making his way back into the game. Slow, knock up on the Light as they try to get the outplay. He doesn't have flash, but he does have rocket jump, and Uzi is finishing the game in the meanwhile. Xiaohu, eyes on the prize, forces them onto the fountain. Guoguo steps up, looking for the stun, but another 2-man knockup as Snake are falling apart in this fight. Uzi is kiting it out, and as you said, it's an all-out melee as Flandre chases Uzi. He chases forward, healing up off the minions. SOFM will get the kill.
Just end the game!
Are still alive. RNG invests too much in the kills. Look at the teleport from Light. He's trying to go bottom for a tier 2.
That is upsetting from RNG. Don't start waving the flag now. You know how the game's going to end, dog. What the hell? Now, this is a great opportunity for Snake. They're not going to go farther than just taking down this tower because death timers are not that long, and it's only just a Tristana here. Alistar's going to be joining her, though.
They are racing down there. Karsa has got the body slam cask if Light decides to step up, but the next minion wave is very far away. Instead, he could be looking to try and deny some of this jungle away from RNG as they overcommit for the kills and find themselves unable to end the game, as you so eloquently put it so many times during that last fight. Oh, RNG getting real dicey there.
Yeah, ultimately they thought they could take the fight. They were, know, juggling aggro so well at that point, but the moment you start losing HP on just every member, you should probably just have one single focus. That's the issue if you're so close to the enemy just fountain that they can get the regen HP. Doesn't matter how long the fight goes on, that they're going to be streaming right back onto the map. So it's getting a little bit rough this side.
Now Snake are trying to control the super minions that are back out onto the map by pushing in mid. You can see Flandre's pushing top. He's got Stand United. He's got Teleport. RNG now looking for that final inhibitor turret. This is just going to be a classic siege for them onto the tier 2 as Karsa steals away the blue buff. Should be able to deny it. Or perhaps he's just buying enough time for Uzi. Of course, the true support. But here it goes. Teleport into the back line. They're diving. No, it was canceled. Whoa, was that teleport used and canceled by Flandre?
Yes.
Oh, man, the mind games. Oh, RNG. Just keeping Snake on their toes. Their Nexus is bare and undefended. Even Uzi tried to get in there.
Look, at this point, RNG's done the right thing. Calm themselves down. It doesn't matter that Shen is in the top lane. At this point, as a 5-man unit, they're just rolling down bottom lane. Shen has to respond. He has to base.
He's still got the Stand United, but is looking for the classic recall. Light, dodging skill shots as best he can as the wave crashes in. He needs to be able to start getting some of these explosive shots to clear out the minions. Finally, he gets it. Rupture misses. Karsa misses. Ezreal misses. Light is dancing for his life as SOFM lands a pillar. Karsa gets slowed, and Xiao, who's split pushing, has pulled Flandre's attention and just hops over the wall. While that's happening, that does mean the remaining 4v4 can continue to skirmish back and forth. Uzi steps up, still just looking for harass, but it's against Triple Ocean.
It's a lot of time that Talon is taking to think about this because too much armor on Flandre at this time. Randuin's Omen Thornmail, you're not going to be able to beat that. And of course, just based off the fact that he has his Zerat's portal complete, he's going to be fine top lane. Talon wants to be able to go in for an invade, but it's not going to happen.
RNG turning onto the Elder Dragon. SOFM is there, level 16, Karsa level 17. Big hit onto Karsa as they're pulling back an excellent pillar. The cask misses, separating Light and not pulling SOFM in. Xiaohu, he's trying to backdoor. It's the Scribe's Bloom, the flash engage. Ming goes in, the AoE stacks up, and Maestro is doing so much as much as he can, but Uzi's firing across. Guogo goes low, Light on the far side, healing as best he can as he kites it out. Uzi is firing, but he is missing. Light finally gets followed up on. His front line is dead, his back line is dead. SOFM goes back to the fountain as RNG chase down the kills. Stand United at the last second for Flandre as Uzi picks up a quadra kill, and Xiaohu chases down the Nexus. RNG, 42.5 minutes in, are going to take the series against Snake.
It shouldn't have taken this long, but at least it ended in style. Excellent team fight and the flank from Xiaohu. Great Talon game. Took a hell of a long time. It would have been a loss, but they ended up securing it.
The return of the king. You can see Light, head in his hands. He knew that he was the carry. He got snowballed. He had the damage. He had the items. He just could not find the right positioning in that fight. As RNG, the return of the king, Uzi picks up his crown. And despite showing some wounds, despite showing some blood against Snake in Game 1 and Game 3, still proves that he is the best AD carry in the world and that there is a reason RNG should be respected with his 7-man roster.
I mean, sure. Ultimately, lesson being learned here from Snake is that you have to be a lot more decisive because that was not a clean win from RNG. It was not a clean series from RNG. It's not a team that you want to be coming back to and be like, all right, are we ready, guys?
Yeah.
So, for Snake, at the very least, what they coming out of this with is that I think Light is a great addition to this team. Great laning phase for him. Was able to set him up properly. The only reason it all fell down so quickly was because decisiveness around Baron was not a thing they had. The calls being made around the Fed AD carry, remember around mid lane, they had 8 minutes where they were just touching this turret. And so, Guogo didn't have a good game. The team themselves were not decisive, and so the takeaway from Snake is team play. But you know what? Light is good AD carry. While you're RNG, though, at least they have their never say die attitude when it gets late into the game, because that's what got them this series at the end.
And this is what we've seen from them so many times, constantly coming back to these late games, constantly coming back to emergency situations in which you're not really sure whether or not RNG can come back, but the trust and the faith in the team to close it out. 42 minutes and 40. Look at that. For 32.5 minutes, make that 33. Snake was running the show. Yep. They had the snowball, they ran it out correctly. They just needed to be more decisive to close the series.
And you can hear the audience the moment the graph was shown that was a long time for the game to be in Snake's quarters and then not to finish it out. 3 Ocean Dragons, 2 versus an Ezreal. That's unacceptable that the game got that long and they couldn't complete it around Baron. So it was all on the 2 mistakes that they made. One, just a lot of individual errors from Guoguo. The other one is just the fact that the mid lane tower, they tried to split carries on that one. Tried to take so much time where they felt like, oh, we don't need a Tristana here for this. And we don't need to play to Tristana too. We don't need to have our 3-0 AD carry anywhere near us for a long time.
They kept Light on a side lane for such a long time. You've got to wonder about some of those choices, but still, it was a good attempt.
And I would say for Light, looking back at this series, is to have a larger voice on the team. Of course, he's a rookie on the squad, and he wants to just focus on his play. But when things happen like that, and you know what the right call is because you know what situations when you're in, you know when you're backing, or at least your base timings on that one. You want the team to play around you. This was a lesson of it didn't happen. I know when Uzi's in that position, he makes it happen, and that's a point that Light wants to have for
And that's exactly what we see in this 26.5-minute replay. We get a chance to take a look at that team fight in the mid lane, in which Uzi gets to pop off onto the side. It all starts by eliminating Guoguo.
And it was just a great catch by Zatai in this one, because you're right, the kill goes on towards Uzi, but 2 members try to go back through mid. Zatai just says, it ain't happening. Double knock up on the Cho'Gath, an immediate execution on towards Guoguo. And so that was just allowing for Xiaohu and the rest of the team fights to come through. 26 minutes, so the gold was still in Snake's favor. Just meant that was the first time that they were able to gain control of the Baron pit.
And that's where we started to see the momentum shift, of course. From there, Snake weren't certain that they could quite take those fights, though it was very close. Of course, we've got that Baron fight where we got to see RNG really start to solidify their lead, in which they found Snake out of position and were able to pull them apart. I believe that's the one in which RNG are the ones who initiate and force the engage, and Snake are the ones who are forced to sit back and try and respond.
Yeah, been a few moments in that game when that was able to happen around Baron pit. This is the first real instance where once again Guoguo makes a massive error coming back into this. This is not a composition where you can poke them any longer unless if you get a good one on towards Ming or an Uzi. Don't fully commit to it. Play it slow. Another error to the young boy. And so for Snake at this point in time, you can see Light and Maestro on the sides trying to think of what to do next because the game was lost from their end.
And again, that final fight is just the easy cleanup for RNG from there, because off of that, they're able to take the Baron and snowball the rest out to victory. So again, this is just RNG playing by the book, though it was a little bit dicey to see them return towards that late game patient strategy, waiting for Uzi to scale on an Ezreal, after already seeing tape on this day of them trying that strategy and it not working in game 1 against Snake. But it does pay off.
Yeah, it does pay off. They're going to go in the back. I think RNG, while still showcasing that they can be a great team fighting team as the game goes on, still have to solidify their early portions of the game. That, once again, Uzi and Ming losing out early, a lot of the times the solution to that is to bring your jungler there. So as long as they can solidify that, things work out there. Great road for them on towards the road to playoffs.
So our MVP for that match, though, is going to be Zatai in the top lane on that Cho'Gath. Absolutely phenomenal performance against his own former ally, 4-2-10. He got absolutely massive and was landing the ruptures that he needed to, finding Guoguo and setting up for his team to take those fights later on.
Instrumental against his old team. The fact that he was able to get so many catches on the Guoguo, really had a great laser sight focus on towards him. Deserved MVP.
Very big performance out of Zatai. Still get to see him play against his former team, so perhaps a little bit of told you so attitude for him. I mean, he already got revenge when they played in Spring Split, but it always feels good whenever you play against former teammates.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, we have a lot of those stories. Just recently, Cool versus former team in LGD didn't work out well for him, but when the actual victory comes through, you get a lot of just adrenaline coming through you. So. Yeah. Zatai was able to play through the series, and he got the win. Yeah. Great job to him.
The classic proving it wrong. That said, that's going to do it for our first set. Royal Never Give Up are victorious. You can already see behind us in the Shanghai venue, our next match is getting ready. That's Suning versus TOP. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break while we get that prepared for you. And I got a chance to use the bathroom real quick. While we get ready for that next game, don't go anywhere. The LPL is going to be right back.
苏牛队员不会为遗憾找借口，必须变强，必须进步。